So Rich, we finally had a chance to put both an 850 Matrix and a 650 Matrix on the snow together here kind of in our own backyard. We're riding out of Pembroke, Ontario, and we're going to compare the two machines, the 850 and 650. But talk to me a little bit about some of the initial ride impressions of the Matrix chassis itself, because this is really the first time we've had a chance to put some serious miles on it in one day. So talk to me about what you found riding that thing.
What I found about the Matrix, Jeff, was it was more planted than the Axis. The Axis chassis for me with an 850 seemed a lot more alive on the trail. When you're going at some good speeds, it seemed to have not a mind of its own, but it seemed to be a little more flighty, where the Matrix was much more planted. It was easier to control on the trails, and I think that it'll make any rider a better rider on this platform than an Axis.
And you mentioned something too, because we did have a chance to jump on, one machine to the other, both of us back and forth a number of times through the day. You also found a little bit of a difference in the ride quality or the riding feel between the 650 and 850. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
You know that's a 650. It felt good, it felt light, but the 850 seemed to have a little more jam everywhere and obviously top end.
But you also talked about the 650 being a little bit more forgiving on the trail, just something that you can kind of get in and get into a real rhythm with the 650 that was, with the more power from the 850, was a little bit harder to control. Again, the 650 was very friendly to ride almost.
Yeah, it was very friendly. It was probably an easier ride, and for a novice to beginner rider, the 650 is right at home. But if you're going for it all day long and you're a very experienced rider and you like to go a little bit faster, the 850 all day long.
Yeah, I kind of agree. The 850, I mean, obviously it's got 200 more cc, so it is going to be more powerful, and it is quite, you notice that kind of everywhere in the ride experience that the 850 just has more jam to it.
There is a major difference between the 650 and 850, so you really have to know how you're riding and where you're riding. The 850 for me that's where I am.
I agree. I enjoyed the 850 a lot more than the 650 just because, I like having that feeling of power, and I feel I'm skilled enough as a rider to kind of deal with that. And when you pull the trigger to, control that animal that is underneath there. Now, again, we talked a little bit about, how the 850 and 650 rode different on the trails. And yeah, we did say that the 850 has more power everywhere. Obviously, it's got 200 cc more engine to it. But I do want to say that the 650, I spent probably more time on the 650 yesterday than I did the 850. At no time was I really feeling I needed more power. If you're just wanting a great trail ride, very good snowmobile. You're not leaving a whole lot on the table to only have a launch edition. If you've got a 650 launch edition Matrix, it is an awesome ride. That's better, we know that, but this is still a very good snowmobile.
It's a fantastic snowmobile.
Now, that's about it for this show, but you're probably wondering, what are the differences between these two motors on top speed, on acceleration, in comparisons? Well, we're going to do that on the next Snowmobiler Television, so make sure you come back and watch that one. Until then, keep your skis between the trees.